That's me. My name is Scott. Guess what movie I'm watching today? I said, guess what movie I'm watching today? I said, guess what movie? Invisible Dad is this cheap 90s movie I found that comes from the same guy who brought us Invisible Mom and Invisible Mom 2, and also Mom's Out of Sight, which not only came out the same year, but also has the same exact tagline.
The name's Bailey. Doug Bailey. And this is my new home.
The name's Bailey, Doug Bailey, and this is my house. And the name of the movie is Invisible Dad, and it came out in 1998. And this is my neighbor, Captain Wiederman, and he's incredibly intrusive.
Plan on staying here long, do you?
Yeah, we're moving in.
2 of you?
No, there's just one of me and one of him.
One of the first things you'll notice is that the dad is kind of a jerk. Just generally unpleasant to be around.
By the way, that's me.
Fun little Easter egg is that this is definitely not the same kid from the poster.
I spend a lot of time in my room. It's hard to make friends when you're always moving.
Yeah, I'd guess it's hard to make friends when you're always in your room, too. I don't have to guess.
Oh, did I tell you I'm into computers?
Now that's a smart way to introduce a character. Just have them literally tell the audience who they are and what they enjoy.
Want to play this new game I invented? It's called The Amazing Mouse Maze.
Nah, not tonight, pal.
I'm sorry, Doug. It's just, well, your game sucks. For real, what is this game, and how could he possibly need 2 hands? Bailey, Andrew Bailey, is an architect in charge of creating a new shopping mall that's supposed to serve as the cornerstone of a shining new Oakmore. I just made that up. I don't know what they're talking about, but I promise it doesn't matter.
It's garbage. Andrew Bailey, meet Duncan Gilbert. Duncan is our junior architect.
Yeah, and I'm an adult here to do buildings, and this is not my dad's suit.
Duncan, Andrew is going to be doing the new mall project.
I thought I was doing the mall project. This isn't fair.
No fair.
I cleaned the office, Miss Courtney.
This is our handyman and head of security.
Yeah, except I don't have a gun.
Yep, that's right. The state says I can't purchase firearms, but one of these days, old Artie's gonna find a loophole.
Excuse me.
That's Jimmy, my new best friend.
Wow, he went from never making friends to having a new best friend in one scene. Dad, I think I'm gonna like it here.
Most kids like me when they first meet me, but then I have to move away. Or Dad gets in one of his moods and scares them off.
Dad gets in one of his moods? What does that mean? Doug, are you okay?
Whenever we move, I get to clean out the garage.
Watch this!
Did I mention Jimmy? Oh yeah, I guess I did.
Oh, God, Doug's losing it. So while cleaning out the garage, Doug finds what appears to be a gaming headset connected to a colander on a hot plate. And he's stoked. Apparently this is exactly what he's been looking for.
Bingo.
I guess the guy who lived here before them was some kind of inventor or perhaps an alien. But at least that's what Captain Wiederman says when he corners Doug in the garage.
Well, man, Rivington didn't just move, son. He disappeared. That's right, Rivington was an alien.
But when Andrew gets home, he really lays into Doug for not doing his chores.
Listen, you go finish cleaning up the garage and then go to bed, and no TV tonight.
But Dad, Ocean View's on.
But Dad, I'm so horny.
With Sherry Vale.
Sherry Vale.
And that's when Doug says the magic words.
Man, I wish it was still 4 o'clock. Hey, Doug, watch this!
Wow, even cooler the second time.
What the?
That's right, he finds a machine that grants wishes. That opens up a whole world of possibilities.
I wish for...
But wait, because we don't want to get too far away from the architectural details.
Thunderbird Construction is clearly the low bid.
Hasn't Thunderbird been fined for using substandard materials in their projects?
All right, make sure you remember that. The Thunderbird Construction uses substandard materials in their projects. That's super important in this movie about a magical computer.
Julie, get me Thunderbird Construction on the phone.
You snake! This is Doug's teacher, Sandy.
Single, smart, and available.
Weird. Anyway, Sandy comes over for like a minute just to be like, hey, your son is failing my class. And naturally, Doug takes that as a sign to set the two of them up on a date.
He wanted me to ask you if you wanted to go to dinner.
Also, it's important to note that Doug has like a really strong moral compass. When Jimmy gives him a list of video games to wish for, Doug says, no way, that is unethical.
No way, that's like stealing.
So instead, they essentially kidnap this actress so that Doug and Jimmy can stare at her.
Is this like an alien abduction or something?
Oh, wow.
Fortunately, right then, Andrew walks in, so Doug sends her back to the Shadow Realm.
That was Sherry Vale, the TV star.
Also, Jimmy's a bad friend.
Hi, Mr. Bailey. Bye, Mr. Bailey.
So without asking a single follow-up question about what he just saw, Andrew says, "Get rid of that thing."
Sometimes I wish my dad would just disappear.
And now things really start spiraling out of control with like the neighbors investigating for aliens as Andrew's like turning invisible and Doug's got a bat and he's smashing the machine and there's walking pants and everything's going. Stop! See, Thunderbird Construction is actually bribing Duncan under the table to make sure they're the ones who get the bid for the shopping mall project, even though they use substandard materials in their buildings.
Let me show you something.
Wow, is that a brick in your briefcase, or are you just happy to see me?
What do you think that's made out of?
Clay?
Plain old flour.
Instead of using bricks made from like clay or cement, they use bricks made from flour.
Of course, we do add a little clay and cement just to make it solid.
And then they add clay and cement afterwards to make them firm. Just make regular bricks at that point. What are we doing?
So what if the mall collapses? Hundreds of innocent people can get hurt.
That's their problem.
Oh, okay. I mean, it might be your problem when you're convicted of negligence and manslaughter, but you go ahead.
Hey, what do you want for dinner?
Dinner?
So it's Sunday night, and that's date night.
I can't go out like this.
Dad, you promised.
Well, this just makes me think of all the times I've canceled plans over something a lot smaller than being turned invisible by my son's magic computer.
Nice place, son. You've got good taste.
Andrew shows up to the date in this, like, beekeeper uniform, to which all the other patrons have a normal reaction. But for some reason, Doug and Andrew are, like, surprised.
What's so funny?
Andrew has pretty thin skin, and I'm not just talking about how that you can see through him. Really? You think it's your smell? That's what's doing it? Also, the waiter comes up to the table twice just to insult them and then leave.
We need some help here.
You certainly do.
With you in that outfit.
Excuse me?
Oh, I couldn't possibly do that.
So they pull the old, "you just lost a customer," and instead Sandy shows up with a pizza.
I don't know how to thank you.
Well, maybe a kiss?
Speaking of poorly written women, this seems like as good a time as any to point out that the director mainly does adult films. In fact, it's totally possible this is the first time that he's ever shown a woman who's both fully clothed and visible.
Would you mind explaining what happened?
Well, Doug found this machine that turned me invisible.
That's the face you make when you, like, forget someone's birthday. That's not the face for when you wish your dad would disappear because he doesn't want you conjuring people in your bedroom.
Maybe I can go to the library and do some digging, find out about the scientist who created this thing.
The next day, Sherry Vale is on the news talking about her alien encounter.
Well, the alien creatures looked like little boys.
Did you find anything at the library?
Oh, yeah.
Sandy does successfully find some information about the scientists, and we all know where this is going.
Cigar!
Wait. So, since Andrew's out of the office, Duncan uses the opportunity to steal his blueprints and forge his signature. That way he can pass them off as his own and get Andrew fired. Because if that happens, Duncan becomes the new project manager, and he can hire Thunderbird Construction, even though they use substandard materials in their projects.
That'll be $1,000.
Okay, anyway, the first attempt at fixing the machine falls through.
Something's wrong.
I guess the circuit wouldn't take the load.
Sure, so Doug needs to hatch a new plan.
Jimmy? Hey, Doug, what's up? How would you like to skip school tomorrow?
Doug, we need to stop hanging out, and you need to stop calling me. Every time we hang out, something awful happens, and you never ask me how my day is. You're always talking about yourself.
Great, thanks. Bye.
He needs this 64-bit circuit, so he goes to the store with Jimmy so he can steal one.
No way, that's like stealing.
But I don't understand why he insists on stealing it. It's $40. Surely your dad could have fronted you the cash if it means not being invisible. But obviously he gets caught, and obviously Jimmy runs away, and obviously the owner of the store is an insane person. So now Doug is in jail.
Look, you better go in and get him. They'll never let me in the room like this.
The station's that way? Go on, move!
Also, Andrew sucks.
Come on, Sandy, what's the holdup?
And he immediately jumps at the opportunity to assault people. So, Invisible Dad mops up the bad guys, and the crew just walk off and drive away because this movie takes place in a universe where consequences don't exist. Except when they do.
Andrew, you're fired. And by the way, don't come around this office again or I'll have you arrested for trespassing.
Well, that's excessive.
Well, imagine that.
Fortunately, at this point, Gerald Rivington shows up, I forgot to explain that, hold on.
Cigar!
So when Sandy went looking for information about who created this machine, she found a newspaper article about a scientist named Emerson Rivington, who infamously blew up City Hall and then disappeared. But he has a twin brother named Gerald who lives in Africa looking at crystals or something.
Cigar!
One day, Gerald reads an article about an actress who claims she was kidnapped by aliens, and since he's just omniscient or whatever, he immediately knows it's related to his brother's machine.
Hello there, young fellow.
Mr. Rivington, you've come to the right place.
Okay, that's not even her house. You can't invite people into not your house. So, like a uninvolved father, Gerald shows up unannounced, gives out some awful presents, and gets drunk. Then they just start going to town on the machine while Andrew has a mental breakdown in the kitchen.
I find myself getting angry a lot. I don't know, maybe this invisibility thing is affecting my metabolism.
No, I think you're just not a good guy. Hey, we haven't checked in on the construction plot in a while.
I know for a fact that you didn't draw those plans, Mr. Gilbert.
See, Artie's been snooping around and he's on to Duncan, so he threatens to, tattle, I guess, and Duncan just straight up gives him brain damage. Then Duncan calls Chuck Norris and he's like, hey, if Andrew shows up tomorrow, the whole plan's ruined, so Chuck puts out a hit on Andrew. For real hires 2 guys to murder him.
Right, boys?
And now it's the day of the big presentation and Duncan has Artie bound and gagged in a closet.
How is it that everyone who works with you seems to disappear?
Oh, Duncan, you rascal. You're gonna go to prison.
You know.
Well, as long as Andrew's invisible, there's no way for him to prove that the project is his. And he's running out of time because, as we all know, as soon as that contract is signed, Duncan is absolved of all crimes.
There's 50 grand in here as soon as they sign.
So thinking fast, Andrew just beats the shit out of Duncan.
Come here.
But he's invisible, so it's fine. He assaults him, but in a funny way.
Duncan, I'm having a really bad week, and I'm gonna take it out on you.
And great news, Gerald realizes the missing part for the magic computer is the rock that he has on his hat.
People out here use them in computers.
Silicon Valley?
I gave a box of them to Emerson.
Hey, the kid asked you a question. Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley?
They plop the rock down into the computer's rock pouch, and just like that, everything's fixed.
Drop those pens!
Whew, and Andrew's finally able to explain the situation to his boss.
I hide my initials in everything I design. Dead center.
Which, now that I think about it, I don't know why he had to be visible to do that. Seems like he could have just had a phone call.
Aha! The payoff money!
Come on, man. Artie just got jumped. You want to help him up before you start gloating?
Look, it's Doug.
Oh, that's it then? You're so excited to see Doug, you just forget about the other guy? Okay.
Let's go home.
Gerald, I don't know if you were invited. With the day saved, Gerald leaves to go back to Africa, and he takes the magic computer with him. And he summons Sherry Vale, which is, human trafficking. Hey, you remember those crazy neighbors? Turns out the wife was an alien the whole time. Wow, that movie was bad, but, I wish magic computers were real.
Something's wrong!